Hey guys, it's Cayman. One of the things I wanted to avoid doing with this channel was talking about like other games that I play. Mainly since I want to do this channel more based around, talking about my experiences or my studies or some of my ideas in creating a video game or game development like that. And also because I can just do that instead on my TikTok account and I can just, separate the two things. And you can kind of use that as a hint as to like what I'm gonna be talking about if you already didn't read the title of the video. But um Valorant is pretty much one of my favorite competitive games today, easily. And with the recent leaks of the upcoming changes for the next patch, I feel like I just have to talk about it. So bear with me for a bit if you're not a fan of Valorant or anything like that. So originally I was debating whether or not to post this video next week so I could have like a schedule going for the channel. But I feel like it might be better to just post it sooner rather than later because as I was writing the script, I realized that the patch is coming today or tomorrow, I think. So, I might as well get it out of the way before any of my thoughts get like proven correct or wrong, you know what I mean? But that's besides the point. As I was saying, Valorant is, one of my passion games. I've devoted way too many hours. Way too many. Um I'm addicted to the common grind. Um I mean, I even manage my own premier team, so you by that you can already tell how deep, you know, deeply involved I am with the scene and the community and all that. So, given my hours and experience in the game, I feel like I can speak from experience, how the current act has felt and, my opinion on the changes. But okay, I do want to say this as a disclaimer. I am a hardstuck low ranked player, and this is, again, based off my experience playing, so if you don't agree with me, don't burn me at the stake. That's all I ask. So, to start things off, I just want to get into like the real meat of all this, which, in my opinion, it's how the casual player base and the top 1% of the player base affect these changes. So, there's essentially been a trend that I don't know if many people have noticed or if they care too much about it, but I feel like it's pretty important. Whenever Riot makes any kind of change, specifically to agents, they always take the community as a whole into account. So, not just the casuals and not just the pros. So, to give an example, Viper. If you play Valorant, you watch the pro scene at all, you know that Viper is notorious in pro play. Like, I think at one point she had like an 80% pick rate. I don't know if that's still the same, but that's what I had read or heard a while ago. And yeah, she's notorious in any map that requires two smokes. So Viper is just an obligatory must. Unless, the tier 1 team is like testing things out, they might go harbor or, risk it with like a different agent, like a double smokes agent. In in the right hands, like she's a fucking menace. Oh wait, I don't know if I should I don't know if I should curse, but it's just a menace on attacker or defense because she can lurk, she can hold a site on her own easily because of the decay in her molly. So it just broken, like, and they've nerfed her to the ground. So essentially what's happened is pro players still run her and the maps that she's popular on, but she's been nerfed to the point that like you rarely see her in ranked, like, at all. If you do, it's like one of those people who have been minting her since the game came out, and they probably just refuse to learn a different agent. But before these nerfs, you could run her like as a solo smokes character. But nowadays, you basically have to run her in a double smokes comp because it's very difficult to make it work otherwise. So if you hear noise in the background, I apologize. That's my mother. She's yelling at my cat. Um, yeah, as I was saying, it Viper essentially went from a viable solo smoke and rank to a situational one, or in some cases it could even be seen as a throw pick if you haven't invested like at least an hour or two into learning her setups or some of her lineups. You know what I mean? So as you can see, there's a very clear like conundrum in pro play. She's seen as balanced, but trying to play her in the casual or rank sense has been ruined. Playing Viper nowadays is nowhere near as fun as it was before all her nerfs. But it was necessary for the health of pro play because she was just dominating the pick rates in basically every map. It was insane. And inversely, we have Reyna. Reyna is notoriously used by Smurfs or people with insane amounts of ego and toxicity, or just people quick to troll if things don't immediately go their way. Horrible to play with because you just lose more util for a more selfish playstyle. So instead of having a better entry duelist or more initiator util or smokes or senti to anchor side and hold your flank, your Reyna, and again, this is low lobbies, this is low ranked lobbies, could be different in higher ranks. I've never been there, so I don't know. But your Reyna is likely going to flank on the other side of the map to farm a kill or die off rip trying to ego a gunfight. So if your Reyna is having a bad game, you essentially have a walking ult port who maybe will flash for you if you ask nicely. If your Reyna is good and can actually get kills with impact, then it's basically a free win. But again, it's the same problem like Viper, just in ranked. Reyna was dominating the ranked leaderboard, the ranked pick rate, everything. So what did Riot do? They nerfed her. It wasn't like a insane nerf, people still play her in comp, but she's nowhere near as dominant as she was before. Thank God. Thank God. But because of this, Reyna is nowhere to be seen in pro play. I think a few teams tried it like way back in the day, and a little bit more recently with like more aggressive teams like Paper Rex used her at one point. But other than that, Reyna is dead to tier 1 players. No one in their right minds would pick her right now. If you're still here, thank you. But you're also probably thinking, Cayman, what does this have to do with Yoru and Clove, which are some of the agents that have been changed or will be changed in this is coming patch? And here it is. Here it is. In my opinion, the way Riot currently views balancing is a bit flawed. They clearly care for both the majority of the player base and their pro scene, but it's so like blatantly obvious when they buff or nerf something for one of the two that instead of finding a balance that although would probably take a little bit longer to implement, it would satisfy both groups a whole lot more than this community breakdown that is happening because of Yoru and Clove alone, which, by the way, were just leaks. They haven't even announced all the changes they plan to do to the other agents, which will surely come like either the patch after this one, or I feel like they're gonna do it pretty soon. And well, I'm hoping they'll do it soon because there are certain agents I have a problem with, and if you play ranked at all, you probably know which I'm gonna talk about. But we'll get there. We'll get there. In terms of the changes to Clove and Yoru, I think they are valid in their own ways, because Yoru has been dominating both pro play and I want to say higher level ranked. He he's able to act as like a almost like a pseudo initiator with his flashes, which is like super useful on attack when you have an actual good Yoru. But also, he can act similarly to like a sentinel on defense because he can stay and anchor a site and then TP out to play retake if needed with like no counterplay. Like he can just do that. It's a part of his kit. And while I do think the nerfs are pretty harsh on him, and I have to admit it, they take away some of the skill expression. It's like a necessary evil, you know, especially for the pro scene. It's essentially a Viper situation all over again. But also in defense of the balancing team, it's really hard to tell sometimes when a nerf slash buff is good or bad until it's actually used by the players. So who knows? Maybe they go back on some of the nerfs later on if it like ends up killing Yoru, like what happened with Chamber. I personally would have rather liked to see his flashes be changed into his rechargeables, and then maybe he could have like only 2 TPs for the whole round with like a shortened duration, not have it be like 30 seconds, which I think is what it is currently. But I mean, what do I know? I'm not part of the balancing team. I don't know dip about how it works. Like when it actually comes down to it. So that's just my opinion. And with Clove specifically is where I feel that Riot's issue with balancing is like blatant. It's just fully blatant because I get what they're trying to do with these nerfs. The smokes when she dies are just overall strong, and like you can't really do anything about it when you're playing against something like that. And I guess you could argue that the metal is like too wide, like the radius is too wide, so it can sometimes be annoying if you're caught in a bad angle. But these changes aren't really attacking the real problem with Clove and ranked, and that's her self-sufficiency. And it's the same problem with Reyna. She's been nerfed time and time again, but she's still played pretty often in ranked. Why? Because she's self-sufficient. A good Reyna can carry any kind of team because she can heal herself, flash for herself, and dismiss to get out of any sticky situation. And you know, for free essentially. You just have to click it fast enough. Both of these agents in their own ways have a very selfish playstyle that anyone with somewhat good mechanics can take advantage of. They're low skill ceiling characters that are just pick and play. You don't need to learn lineups or practice a certain playstyle to really take advantage of the character. You need a smoke, you just click where you want them. You want to fight and get that dopamine rush still? Just swing. If you win, you can heal after. You get a small little speed boost, and you get a little ding, a little twinkle effect to give you that dopamine straight into your brain. And in a perfect world, you know, these characters probably get reworked to turn them into more team oriented characters, or you know, just something of that nature to raise their skill ceiling. Make it so these agents aren't the obvious choice when you need a second duelist with flash or you need to fill smokes. In like a competitive sense, that seems more logical, right? But here's the thing, and this okay, this is where I get kind of theoretical. So just let me cook. Let me cook. Riot is aware of this. They know reworking these kinds of selfish agents is probably the smart choice for a healthier ranked experience. But they're not gonna do it for one simple reason. The casual community would hate that shit. They would hate it. They would hate it, bro. As of right now, the way I see it, the ranked community is just a more toxic casual community, which is, you know, which is why I've been using casual and ranked interchangeably up until this point. Everyone from lower ranks to higher ranks have been complaining about the ranked experience for a while now, so I don't think I'm too far off when I say this. People want the dopamine hit of earning RR, but most of them don't warm up, they don't communicate to their team, or do much, if at all, effort to try a little bit more. Just in general, they want the easy way. People want easy kills. They want easy strats like running 5-man running down a site. They want an easy win. And I promise you, if the average Valorant player can avoid thinking too hard on what they're doing, they will. They just will. But there's also other things to take into account alongside this. Ranked, as it stands, rewards duelist more than any other role. To me, this is a fact. I could be wrong, but to me this is a fact. Dropping 20 impactful kills on on KJ, for example, will not always earn you the same amount of RR as 20 impactful kills on Jet or on Reyna, because of how the RR system rewards bonuses. Your individual performance is one of the primary ways the system calculates how much RR you earn. But when you play smokes or initiators or sentinels, it's just more likely you won't get as many kills as like your duelist, because if you're playing the role correctly, you're simply not going to take engagements. Like, you're not going to take enough engagements compared to the duelist role. Unless you're Clove. Unless you're Chamber for the Sentinels. Unless you're playing an initiator like Sky or even Sova with his recon spam. You might farm hella assists if you're playing the role correctly, because you're using your util for your team and they're getting kills because of it. But that won't give you a star near your RR game. It's your kills versus other higher ranked players in the lobby that does that. And because of this, duelists are seen as more fun, quote unquote. And with how the current meta is more mechanics focused, it's not util heavy as it was before with like the Teho meta, for example. You just can't util spam for one. You can't util spam for kills anymore because it's not worth it. You won't have it for the rest of the round. You'll waste your entire kit just for one kill, and then you probably still lose a round because you don't have rechargeables. You don't have anything like that. And sometimes you'll use your util for a play, for a strat with your entire team, and if it doesn't work out how you wanted to, you either have to play the waiting game for your stuff to recharge, if your agent even has that, or just thug it out, take dry fights, and pray it goes in your favor. Pray they're not double holding you. They're not double holding the choke point, for example. It's just cooked. And then here we just go full circle. If it's basically encouraged right now to play duelists to rank up efficiently, and that's pretty much how it's been since Valorant came out. What happens if someone locks in your duelist before you? You might get a 5 duelist comp, but that's kind of rare nowadays. At least for me in my plat diamond lobbies. But it used to happen a whole lot more before. Why? Because Clove wasn't out and Chamber was dead. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? The no-brain duelists now have easy ways to fill. They couldn't be bothered to learn Omen or Astra or Brim. But with Clove, you're encouraged to take fights just like Reyna because of her kit. Same thing with Chamber. A Reyna or Jet main probably can't tell you a lick of how to set up on any map on KJ or Deadlock. But with Chamber, you just put your little trip bot, boom, side is held, and you can fight all you want somewhere else. And if you need an agent that can initiate fights for your team, you can just get away with Yoru because that's what the pros do. And the frustrating part is, if Riot truly cared about Valorant being competitive, they would have done these changes ages ago. They could have reworked the Viper to encourage other smokes like Harbor, or maybe potentially even Double Dome smokes in pro play. They could have reworked Reyna, reworked Clove, okay. Rant time. This is the part. This is the part where I think a lot of people in the low ranked ladder will what's the word? Agree with me? Okay? Cause okay, why in the world does an agent that can sprint and be hop and slide and insta 200 pump you without you being able to react exist in a tactical shooter? Why can Waylay just insta dash on my head, throw a slow, and dissipate quicker than my money does out of my wallet? I can only assume that changes will come to them, but if it's not restricting Neon's movement or her gun pullout time, or restricting how Waylay can insta dash and throw your util, or insta dash and refract away. I frankly don't want to hear it. And it's not even that they're broken or like that they're that broken, but when you combine the fact that initiators and sentinels are just too weak right now to counter their playstyle, or the fact that you either have to be cracked and hit the craziest shot of your life to kill a bee hopping neon, or a fucking trigonometric whaley dash, makes playing against these agents not fun. It's just not fun. You essentially have to hope that the enemy neon or slash waylay sucks and that their team is less coordinated than yours, which is already asking for a lot. Okay. Whew. Okay, sorry. Rant over. Riot is most definitely gonna do something about that, but I just can't help but feel frustrated over this act as a whole. Ever since that update that just screwed over like most of the sentinels and initiators, it just feels like the quality of the games have downgraded tremendously. Because again, these players just want to run it down. They don't want to play slow. They don't want to fake sites or just make plays in general. And I'm not saying that the meta before was any better, but at least people were more inclined to think about how they were playing. This double duelist, no brain W key meta combined with the insane game like RR gains and losses that everyone has been dealing with has made it really hard to genuinely want to play. And this is coming from someone who really wants to improve and like get to higher ranks. You think I want to be in diamond? You think I like being in diamond? No, dude. Like when I first started playing and I was actually in my peak, like I thought I could get to Ascendant Immortal, like get to fucking GC, straight up. Like I thought I had that in me. I thought I was different. But now it's like I don't know. It just feels like the balance team and the community is just not with that. It's just they don't. It's not incentivizing that kind of like self improvement in the community as a whole. And honestly, I hope I'm not the only one who feels this way. Like I hope there's still like at least a small group of people that actually want to, get into the pro scene. Like from the bottom from iron to fucking top 500 radiant. You know what I mean? And you know what, speaking of just the ranked experience, I really do hope, and this is unrelated to the patch changes and balancing, and I know that's a title, but just, I I hope we see ranked incentives, like in any matter, in any shape or form, and especially for these higher ranked lobbies. It could be a classic skin, a banner, a freaking shirt. That's what they used to do for challenger players in League of Legends. Anything, something different to incentivize players to actually start trying again. And this is just off the top of my head. Why don't we make like a special league for the top 500 radiants, or just like a certain threshold just in radiant, like what's it called, like the challenger queue for League of Legends. Again, you already have examples of that in your previous games. Now, I could be wrong, but from what I read a little bit from, when I used to play League of Legends casually, I'm pretty sure that challenger queue is like invite only. So if you're a pro, or like if you're really really good at like playing ranked, you would get invited to that. Or I mean, hell, I'll even take face it. Some form of face it. Like give me Tarek 10 mans, but endorsed by Riot, endorsed by the ranked ladder. I think it would promote like a more try hard or passionate mental that would incentivize these higher ranked players, and then that kind of mindset would trickle down to my lower lobbies. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these like casual players watch Valorant streamers, and they would see their gameplay like change drastically from being just like, oh, run it down, get a clip, this that, to like, oh, like CS:GO, where like you watch a stream of like some high ranked people and they're giving it their all. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got. Let me think of like a summary for the people who might have skipped through. So, Clove nerf and your nerf. They're valid, but I think Yoru's was a little bit too harsh. They could have done that differently, in my opinion. And Clove's didn't really address the issues that she brings in competitive. She probably needed like a full on rework. Um, the overall way that Riot has done their balancing is trying to satisfy both parties separately instead of in a joined effort that'll satisfy both parties, but without keeping like the selfishness of certain characters, or the high level play that could come from certain higher level characters, like higher skill ceiling characters. Um, I think the current meta has done a lot of the negative effects in the current ranked, like the how ranked currently feels, because it's so like mechanics based and like less thinking, less strategizing than how it was before with like the Tahoe meta. They probably need to fix the RR system so people who do like assist or some other way to measure their usefulness in a round other than just like first kills and how well they did against ranked, like higher ranked players or lower ranked players in the lobby. Okay, wait. Ranked desperately needs some kind of incentive to make these players actually want to win and actually want to try to self improve. We probably need like a ranked, either a ranked higher than Radiant that's only for like the top 500 or top 200 or whatever proper amount should be, and like either that or a different queue once you reach a certain RR threshold in Radiant to incentivize these higher ranked players to like keep grinding. I'm pretty sure those were all the topic points, if I'm not mistaken. If not, just watch the video again. I don't, whatever. But yeah, I know this channel is new and all, but if you guys play Valorant, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I like talking about this kind of thing. If you agree or if you think I'm crazy for saying some of these takes, I want to hear it. I'm happy to discuss it. Let's see. Oh, you're probably wondering. So for for my little Minecraft world, I found this cool little village. I don't know why my waypoint. I have a mod called Zero's minimap and map, and it should let you do like waypoints where you can like teleport to them. And I don't know why. I think it might be like I need to update it, or I'm not too sure, but it's not letting me do it. So it made kind of like I guess I guess it made it like more vanilla, where you have to like walk around if you don't have an elytra to just farm materials and stuff. So I kind of skipped all over that. So just so you guys could see like the building process. It took me a bit, and I think with how long this video is, you don't see like how it ends up looking, but I still think it's kind of funny. Also, I did not know that in that little forest area where like the big rocks are, it's like a geode. Like if you mine it, there's like a bunch of iron in there. I got like 20 iron from one of those big ones. And I think you see me go back to it, but I had already mined it. But I was like, God damn! I didn't know this was like a good area to check. Like I thought it was just like a decoration thing. I've never mined it. But yeah, I was building my house. It was pretty fun. Um, I think the creeper. I got a few scares with the creeper, but I really liked building this house. I try to avoid like lighter colored blocks, like spruce. Not spruce. Birch. I don't know why. I just don't like building with it. I enjoy building more with like stone or dark stone. I don't think that's the name of it. Deep slate. Deep slate. That's the name. I like building with deep slate and like dark oak, but where the village is at currently, I can't, it was like really hard to like travel to find dark oak, and I didn't find any like. I think I have like one spruce, or not one spruce, one dark oak sapling in my chest, and that was like when I was traveling to find the village. So I got like maybe half a stack, so I didn't want to use it. I wanted to save it for like a different build. I'll probably have to uh grind some dark oak anyways, like outside of the video, but yeah, it was pretty fun. I still gotta finish it, so I'll probably next video you'll see that. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't think I'll do another Valorant related one unless this blows up somehow. That would be awesome, but you know, try to be realistic. If you made it this far, you're goated. If you got any tips to make my videos better, I greatly appreciate that. um, oh god, this feels so weird saying this, but if you want to subscribe or like, go for it. Up to you. I don't know. That's it. Goodbye.